Part 73. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 721. Because there was no one in the room, Qian Minghao had long disappeared. It seemed that the guy knew what was going on and chose to leave. This incident made Mr. Zhou very angry. He called Qian Minghao a white-eyed wolf. Mr. Zhou came to me, grabbed my hand, and thanked me repeatedly, "Xiao Su. This is all thanks to you. If it weren't for you, my granddaughter would probably." I waved my hand and replied, "Mr. Zhou, you don't need to take this matter to heart, it's all what I should do." Mr. Zhou said with some annoyance, "If I had known who he was earlier, I shouldn't have accepted him as my disciple in the first place." The first impression Qian Minghao gave me was that he was honest and seemed harmless to humans and animals. But often those who appear to be non-threatening are the most dangerous. I said to Mr. Zhou, "Mr. Zhou, although Qian Minghao escaped this time, I have a hunch that he will definitely come to visit me again." Mr. Zhou nodded seriously and said, "Fortunately, I didn't tell him about the funeral. If I told him, he would definitely do evil in secret. My golden body is considered a treasure. Once the world knows about it, there will definitely be a fierce scramble for it. If Qian Minghao knew that the person we were burying was my golden body, he would definitely snatch it away." Although Mr. Zhou said this, I still felt a little uneasy in my heart. Although I don't have much contact with Qian Minghao, I know that people who know how to be patient and scheming must be thoughtful. Qian Minghao had even noticed that the corpse in the coffin was unusual. I had to take precautions. The next day, Mr. Zhou was still busy, because Su Tianqian and I couldn't help much, so we could only stay at Zhou's house. In the evening, Su Tianqian found me and said, "Xiao Su, I will go to the underworld with you tonight to find Emperor Fengdu." I nodded. I thought it was very easy to go to the underworld, just use the ghost seal to summon the gate of the underworld. But Su Tianqian can't. She is not an agent of the underworld and can only use special means to enter. If you want to enter the underworld, you must find the place where yin and yang meet. In this world, there are many places where yin and yang meet. The most well-known among them is Qingcheng Mountain. Qingcheng Mountain is one of the 5 Taoist immortal mountains, but it is also known as the Ghost Mountain. At night, the evil spirits in the underworld will come out from Qingcheng Mountain and cause trouble everywhere. It was not until Taoism was founded in Qingcheng Mountain that the Taoist priests who practiced here tried every means to suppress the demons and ghosts. Getting back to the topic, I looked at Su Tianqian and asked, "Master, how do you enter the underworld?" Su Tianqian looked up at the sky and finally placed the realization on the mountain to the east of the village. "Do you still remember that pagoda?" "Remember?" Su Tianqian said, "That is the intersection of yin and yang. I can enter the underworld from there using some means." I suddenly realized that it seemed that the location of the pagoda should be the same as Qingcheng Mountain. Use special means to suppress the evil spirits that escape from the intersection of yin and yang. Soon, night fell, and Su Tianqian and I walked towards Dongshan. Tonight, the bright moon is high, the night wind is whistling, and the shadows of the trees reflected on the ground, with teeth and claws showing, are as terrifying as ghosts. Su Tianqian and I climbed to the top of the mountain and saw the pagoda. The pagoda is 9 stories high. The outer layer is tied up by iron chains. There are countless talismans affixed to the body of the pagoda. Just standing there makes people feel fear and send chills down their spines. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 722. The pagoda exudes very powerful yin energy. I instantly knew why my grandfather chose to retreat instead of continuing deeper. Because, through this yin energy, I can judge that tens of thousands of demons and ghosts are suppressed in the pagoda. Ghost suppressing tower. Su Tianqian said with a somewhat surprised tone. "Master, what is the ghost suppression tower?" Su Tianqian glanced at me and said, There are 4 ghost-suppressing towers in this world, but their traces are nowhere to be found. Each ghost-suppressing tower suppresses endless ghosts, and the most terrifying thing is that there is also a ghost king inside. I took a breath. I didn't expect this ghost-suppressing tower to be so terrifying. At this moment, a black shadow flew towards us. I took a closer look and saw that it was Xiaohei. This guy has disappeared since he came here, and there is no trace of him at all. It seems that he has been absorbing the essence of the sun and the moon here. It landed on my shoulder and said, "Boss, are you here to get the sun and moon beads for me?" I rolled my eyes and replied unceremoniously, "Why is your face so big?" Xiaohei chuckled and said, "Boss, think about it, if I could turn into a human form, it would be of great help to you, so please help me this time." Xiaohei begged, but I had no choice but to say, "I still have use for the sun and moon bead. I don't know if it can be in my hand after I use it." "If it can still be in my hand, you can take it and use it." Su Tianqian said on the side, "This sun and moon pearl is only used as a coffin during the funeral. When it reaches its destination, it can be retrieved for your use." When Xiaohei heard this, his eyes lit up. "Boss, it's up to you whether I can transform this time." "I know. I know. Stop whispering in my ear." Xiaohei shut his mouth obediently. I looked at Su Tianqian and asked, "Master, what should we do now?" Su Tianqian looked at the ghost-suppressing tower and pondered for a moment, then said, "I will communicate with Yin and Yang later and open the passage between Yin and Yang, so we can enter it." I nodded. Su Tianqian came to the ghost-suppressing tower, kneaded the formula with both hands and muttered something. She slowly stretched out her slender white jade hands, then held up the sword technique and pointed it at the ghost-suppressing tower. The next moment, I could clearly feel the surrounding yin energy gathering at Su Tianxian's fingertips. Then, Su Tianxian gave a sweet shout, and the yin qi exploded, and a black vortex gathered in front of her. At this moment, I suddenly saw pale ghost hands stretching out from the black vortex one after another. My face froze. This is a fierce ghost." Su Tianxian's face was calm, and she slowly held the seal of the 9 layers of Thunderju, and a powerful thunder and lightning gathered in her palm. Without any hesitation, she rushed towards the black vortex. In an instant, thunder and lightning filled the entire whirlpool. The next second, Su Tianqian quickly formed the secret with both hands, took a step forward, and struck towards the black vortex. I saw countless gray and incomprehensible spells appearing on the black vortex. The spells were scattered throughout the vortex, and finally formed a magic circle, completely sealing the black vortex. Su Tianqian said calmly, "Let's go." I nodded. I can guess what happened just now. The place where yin and yang meet, and the communication between yin and yang will cause the evil ghosts wandering in the underworld to escape through the black vortex. After all, this kind of place has the most evil spirits. Su Tianqian and I stepped into the black vortex, while Xiaohei stayed outside. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 723. After walking into the black vortex, I felt like the world was spinning. This state lasted for more than 30 seconds. After the dizziness disappeared, a faint light appeared in front of my eyes. Looking around, I realized that these lights were emitted by will-o'-the-wisps. In addition, I also saw a huge city gate standing in front of me. The city gate is simple and mysterious, with 3 big characters written clearly on it. Gate of Hell. I'm not very familiar with the underworld. The last time we went to find Emperor Fengdu, it was Xiangyi who led him. Master, how should we go? Su Tianqian looked inside the ghost gate and said calmly, "There will be ghost messengers coming to pick us up later." I was slightly startled. A ghost came to pick us up. The last time Su Tianqian and I came here, there was no ghost to guide us. How could it happen now? At this time, countless black shadows slowly emerged from the ghost gate. There was also a melodious sound of horns in my ears. Immediately afterwards, I saw countless Yin soldiers walking out of the gate of hell. Among them, the two handsome men walking at the front were two handsome men. One wears a high hat with the 4 characters "Promote and Get Rich" written on it. He is smiling, tall and thin, with a pale face and a long tongue. The other one has a fierce face, a wide body and a fat body, a small face and a dark face. He also wears a pipe hat with the 4 characters "The world is peaceful" written on it. This is black and white impermanence. Wait, besides these two, there are 3 more handsome men. That turned out to be the god of day and night. 4 handsome men. In addition, I also saw a sedan chair, carried by 8 Yin generals. Such a huge battle left me speechless. Are these guys here to pick up Su Tianqian? Seeing only black and white, the 4 handsome men came to Su Tianqian, raised their hands towards Su Tianqian, and said respectfully, "I have met Master Tianqian." Su Tianqian nodded lightly. Bai Vuchang said, "Master Tianqian, we are here to pick you up on the Emperor's order." Emperor Fengdu personally sent someone to pick him up? I looked at Su Tianqian in disbelief. I didn't expect that my master's reputation in the underworld would be so great that the 4 evil commanders could come to greet him. Su Tianqian looked at me and said, "Let's go." I nodded, followed Su Tianqian, and got into the sedan chair together. As the sedan chair moved forward slowly, I couldn't help but ask, "Master, you are so popular in the underworld. Why did you come here last time?" Su Tianqian raised his eyes and looked at me without blinking. "Last time I sneaked in secretly, and Emperor Fengdu naturally didn't know about it. But this time, Xiangyi notified me in advance, and Emperor Fengdu will naturally send someone here." Hearing this sentence, I became more and more confused. "Master, what is your relationship with Emperor Fengdu? Why would he use such a battle to welcome you?" Emperor Fengdu was an emperor in the underworld. The 10 great yamas are even under his jurisdiction. And now, Emperor Fengdu goes to such great lengths to welcome us. There is no relationship between me and him. If anything, it was from the past life. I was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized. The sedan chair moved forward slowly. I opened the curtain and looked outside. It was dimly lit and very quiet. There were many lonely ghosts walking quietly along the path. I don't know how long they walked forward, but the sedan chair stopped and Su Tianqian opened the curtain and walked out. I followed closely behind, got off the sedan chair, and a huge palace came into view. Nothing has changed here since the last time I came here. Even thousands of years ago, or even tens of thousands of years ago, the appearance of this place would not have changed at all. "Let's go in," Su Tianqian said to me. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 724. I nodded and followed Su Tianqian into the palace. After taking a few steps, a familiar figure caught my eye. "Lu Su, long time no see." Mu Qing came to me and greeted me warmly. "Yeah. Long time no see." After a brief exchange of greetings, Mu Qing took Su Tianqian and me into the main hall. After entering the main hall, he saw Emperor Fengdu sitting on the throne. The moment he saw Su Tianqian, his eyes were filled with excitement. "You finally came." Because of his excitement, Emperor Fengdu couldn't stop trembling all over. He stood up and came to Su Tianqian. Su Tianqian just nodded slightly as a greeting. Emperor Fengdu's behavior made me very confused. After a moment of excitement, Emperor Fengdu returned to normal. He returned to his seat, turned his gaze on me, and said, "Lu Su, it seems that you have successfully killed the Earth Tribulation evil star." I nodded and said, That's right. A trace of relief flashed between Emperor Fendu's brows. It seems it's time to tell you something. I was stunned for a moment and asked, what's going on? Emperor Fendu smiled and said, you'd better tell me your purpose of coming here now. I informed Emperor Fendu that I was going to invite a judge-level figure to bury my golden body. Emperor Fendu nodded after hearing this and said, I can help you with this matter, but you have to do something for me. Great Emperor, please speak. Emperor Fendu said slowly, there are countless war spirits in Hang Pass. I want you to subdue these war spirits and use them for my underworld. I was slightly stunned. Are you asking me to conquer the fighting spirit of Hang Gyugwan? This matter is too difficult. Although I hold the Tiger Talisman, it is not that simple to completely receive those fighting spirits under my command. Facing those guys, if they don't have very strong strength, they won't obey your orders. However, if I don't agree to Emperor Fendu's words now, he won't help me. After thinking for a moment, I looked up and said, I promise you. Emperor Fendu nodded with satisfaction and said to me, okay. I will help you with your matter. At this time, the smile on Emperor Fendu's face slowly dissipated, replaced by incomparable solemnity. He said, Lu Su, you burned the immortal tree. The Eastern Ghost Emperor will attack you in the near future. Please be careful. Xiang Yi said before that the immortal tree leads directly to the underworld, and the location of the immortal tree in the underworld is Dozai Mountain to the east. Dozai Mountain is the place ruled by the Eastern Ghost Emperor. There are two Eastern Ghost Emperors, namely Cai Yulei and Shen Tu. These two are gods who can subdue evil spirits in folklore. They first appeared in ancient mythology and were also the earliest door gods. I asked, Great Emperor, this immortal tree is the sacred tree of the underworld. Why are you not angry at all when I destroy it? Logically speaking, when such a big thing happened, the most angry person should be Emperor Fendu. After all, everything in this underworld is under his rule. The current situation is like me killing a minister in front of the human emperor. Instead of punishing me, the emperor told me to be careful of other people's revenge. Emperor Fendu looked at me and said word by word, this is what I want to tell you. There are undercurrents surging in the underworld now. Although the 5 ghost emperors obey my orders, they all have their own evil intentions. The immortal tree is a means for the Eastern Ghost Emperor to increase his strength. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 725. A way to strengthen one's own power? I became even more confused. Emperor Fendu saw my puzzled look and explained my confusion. The immortal nether tree connects yin and yang and is the passage to the underworld. In the beginning, the immortal tree served as a guide for souls, sending those lonely ghosts wandering in the human world to the underworld. However, I don't know since when, the Eastern Ghost Emperor took the sacred tree as his own and cultivated those lonely ghosts into his underworld soldiers. I nodded after listening, and then Emperor Fendu said something without beginning or end, which made me feel confused. The underworld is no longer the same as before, and you still need to change all this. I opened my mouth to ask what this sentence meant, but I never thought that Emperor Fendu waved his hand at me and said, let's go, I will naturally do what I promised you. Seeing that Emperor Fendu didn't want to explain more, I didn't continue to ask, turned around and left here with Su Tianxian. Just when the two of us were about to leave the hall, Emperor Fendu's voice sounded in my ears again. Su Tianxian, you don't have much time. Su Tianxuan's footsteps stagnated, and without saying anything, he took me away from here. On the way back, I asked, Master, why do both Zhang Tianqi and Emperor Fendu say that your time is running out? Are you hiding something from me? Master Zhang Tianqi said the same thing last time, and now Emperor Fendu said the same thing again, which makes me very worried about Su Tianxuan's safety. Su Tianxian stopped, looked at me, and said, don't worry, nothing will happen to me as a teacher. Although Su Tianxian said this, the uneasiness in my heart did not diminish at all. Master, if something happens to you, you must tell your apprentice not to carry it alone. I am different now from before, and I can help you a lot. Su Tianqian raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said, I understand. This time we were still escorted by 4 handsome men. Soon, we arrived at the gate of hell. The 4 handsome men bowed their hands to Su Tianqian and said goodbye, and then left here. Su Tianqian did it again and wanted to leave here. But at this moment, a bone-piercing yin wind struck, followed by waves of powerful yin qi attacking from all directions. Su Tianxuan's hand movements froze, and his eyes looked around cautiously. Suddenly, countless fierce ghosts swarmed over. My face hardened. It seemed that the 2 ghost emperors from the east couldn't bear to take action against me. Because Dozai Mountain and Gaiman Pass are the places where the 2 ghost emperors Cai Yulei and Shen Tu rule. If it were placed elsewhere, they would naturally not dare to do anything. But this is the gate of hell. Su Tianqian took a step forward, and an awe-inspiring aura spread from her body. In an instant, countless fierce ghosts were shaken away by this awe-inspiring aura. There was only a cold look in Su Tianxuan's beautiful eyes. She stared in one direction and said coldly, since you are here, let's come out and see him. The sound spread far, far away, and the surrounding area fell into dead silence. After the dead silence, a man's voice sounded in the darkness. Su Tianqian, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. He destroyed my immortal tree in Dozai Mountain. He will have to pay a price no matter how hard he looks for it. This sound rang in my ears like a bell. Moreover, the moment the sound appeared, an invisible sense of oppression hit me, making my limbs tremble. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 726. Then a figure slowly emerged from the darkness. However, the figure stopped walking halfway, so I could only see the outline of the figure, but not its true appearance. Su Tianqian looked at the figure and said coldly, if you dare to hurt him in the slightest, I will definitely make you pay the price. The Ghost Emperor's voice came out again. You can protect him for a while, is it possible that you can protect him for a lifetime? Su Tianqian didn't reply, just looked at him coldly. I don't want his life, I just need him to help me do something. As long as the thing is done, I can forget about destroying the immortal tree. I took a step forward and snorted, are you begging for help? If you want to ask me to do something, you must at least show some sincerity. What's the point of hiding in the dark? As soon as these words came out, the Ghost Emperor fell silent. After a moment, he took steps towards me. And his appearance came into my eyes bit by bit. He was tall, with a handsome face, and exuded a powerful aura, but between his brows I saw an insidious look that did not belong to a god. There are 2 Eastern Ghost Emperors. I don't know whether the one in front of me is Shenxia or Cai Yulei. He looked at me and said slowly, let me introduce myself, I am Dongfang Ghost Emperor Shenxia. God's tea comes to your doorstep. I asked, destroying the immortal tree was an unintentional act on my part. In that case, if I didn't burn the immortal tree, I would die. Therefore, I have no regrets at all for causing this situation today. Shenxia looked at me coldly and said, you burned down the immortal tree in my Taoji mountain. You deserve to be executed by me. If you agree to my request today, I can let you go. Any request? Shenxia said, conquer the fighting spirit of Hang Pass and bring it under my command, so that I can spare your life. I snorted in my heart. Sure enough, things were exactly as Emperor Fengdu said. The Eastern Ghost Emperor has long been rebellious and wants to overthrow the existing order of the underworld and become the king himself. Can I agreed without even thinking about it. The Ghost Emperor is very powerful and cannot be dealt with by me now. Su Tianqian may be able to fight the Ghost Emperor. But, I don't want her to get hurt because of me. Therefore, agreeing to Shenche's request is the wisest choice. Shenche's expression froze, as if he didn't expect that I would agree so happily. Okay. I'll give you 7 days. If you don't do it within 7 days, be prepared to die. With that said, Shenche disappeared in the darkness. The countless fierce ghosts lingering around also retreated. Su Tianqian looked at me deeply and said nothing. She pinched the Fahu and once again communicated the channel between the yin and yang worlds. The two of us walked into the black vortex, and when we reappeared, we were already in front of the ghost suppression tower. At this time Su Tianqian spoke up and asked, "Xiao Su, why did you agree to Shenche's request?" I raised a wry smile at the corner of my mouth and said, "Master, it's okay if I don't agree to the situation just now." Su Tianqian shook his head slightly and replied, "As long as I'm here, he can't touch a hair on your head." "Master, Shenche is right. You can protect me for a while, but you cannot protect me forever. Even if you scare Shenche, no one can guarantee that he will not attack me in the future." Su Tianqian was stunned and asked, "Have you thought of a solution?" I nodded and told her exactly what I was thinking. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 727. People are only needed when they are valuable. The goals of Emperor Fengdu and Shenche are the fighting spirits in Hang Pass. As long as I can receive these fighting spirits under my command, I will have value. Once I have value, they will not attack me easily. Will only win me over. This is what I have in mind. You can trust Emperor Fengdu, but Shenche. Su Tianxuan's words faltered, and then he shook his head. "You absolutely cannot trust him." I nodded. Emperor Fengdu helped me more than once. If he hadn't helped me get rid of the evil spirit last time, I'm afraid I would have died of the evil spirit. As long as I can subdue the fighting spirit of Hang Pass, then no matter it is Shenche or other ghost emperors, they will naturally not take action against me. They will definitely try to find ways to win over me. Because, I am valuable to them. For a long time, I have always had a doubt in my mind, and that is about the gods of the underworld. I asked, "Master, why do I feel that something is wrong with the gods of the underworld? What they do does not seem like something a decent person would do." Su Tianqian looked at me deeply and said, "Have you ever thought that the gods in the underworld are already the first batch?" I was slightly stunned and exclaimed, "Master, you are saying that someone has secretly replaced those gods? If this is really the case, it would be terrible." Su Tianqian nodded and shook his head, saying, "This is just my guess. The truth of the matter still needs to be explored. But, you will naturally figure this out later." I nodded. Su Tianqian looked at the ghost suppressing tower and said, "It seems that we can't enter the ghost suppressing tower to get the sun and moon pearl today. We should go back and take a rest first." Later, Su Tianqian and I returned to Zhou's house. During the day, Mr. Zhou found Su Tianqian and said, "Master Tianqian, I have prepared everything here. Let's set off for Hang Pass now. If we miss the time, we will be in big trouble." Su Tianqian frowned slightly and said, "Give me one night, my apprentice, and I will take out the sun and moon pearl, and then we go." Mr. Zhou looked troubled. "Master Tianqian, if this is the case, then both sides have to do it at the same time. We are going to find my tomb, while Xiao Su needs to send my body to Hang Pass." I said to the side, "Master, you and Mr. Zhou can set off and leave the matter of getting the sun and moon pearl to me." Su Tianqian hesitated again and asked, "Xiao Su, can you really do it alone?" I patted my chest and vowed, "Master, don't worry. I will definitely complete the task." Because the situation was urgent, Su Tianqian could only nod in agreement. At noon, Mr. Zhou and Su Tianqian set off for Hang Pass. Before leaving, Su Tianqian gave me many instructions, and finally took out a talisman from his pocket and handed it to me, and told me that if I encounter something that cannot be solved, I will use this talisman to break the situation. I nodded and said, "Master, you have to be careful too." Su Tianqian nodded slightly, glanced at me with worry, then turned and left. After the two of them left, I came to the coffin where the corpse was placed, took out my coffin, and then hid it. I used my magical powers to arrange blindfolds and magic circles around the coffin. I did this because I was afraid that Jian Minghao would come and steal my golden body. Not long after Su Tianqian left, the quiet village suddenly became noisy. According to Zhou Wan, a group of people entered the village. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 728. A group of people suddenly came to the village that had been silent for a long time. This gave me a bad feeling, so I quickly ran to the door and looked outside. I saw a group of people walking towards the Zhou family. When I saw the appearance of the leader, I was stunned on the spot. It turned out to be Wuchenzi. Why is he here? Since Wuchenzi was the leader, the people behind him must be from the Taoist sect. I quickly returned to the yard, called Zhou Wan into the house, and told her, "I'll disguise myself later, but you must not expose my identity. As for when they ask what your grandpa is doing, you just say he's out on business, leave the rest to me." Seeing my serious look, Zhou Wan nodded repeatedly. Wuchenzi's purpose of coming here is unclear. But I knew I couldn't reveal my identity no matter what. Once the identity is exposed, it will definitely cause trouble. I found the black robe and put it on, and then I found a bamboo hat at Zhou's house and put it on my head. That way, they won't be able to tell who I am. And I can continue to use my identity as Yung Xiao's disciple to deal with them. As soon as the disguise was completed, there was a burst of noisy footsteps outside the courtyard. Zhou Wan quickly went out to greet him. "Excuse me, why do you guys come to my house?" Wuchenzi said, "We are here to find your grandpa. I wonder if your grandpa is at home now." Zhou Wan followed what I told her before. "My grandpa is out on business and will be back in 3 days at the latest." Wuchenzi was stunned for a moment, then continued to ask, "Going out to do business? I wonder if the person who came to see your grandfather for business is a beautiful woman and a young man." Zhou Wan's eyes moved, thinking about how to answer. I took a deep breath and quickly released the aura around me. I had obtained Yunziazi's half-life cultivation before, and my aura was enough to bluff these people. In addition, I had Ziwei's luck to help me, which made me look like an expert. As expected, Wuchenzi felt my aura. He frowned and shouted towards the room where I was, "I don't know which master it is again. Can you come out and see me?" I didn't say anything. I had to maintain my superior demeanor at this time. To put it simply, it's cool. Seeing that I didn't reply, Wuchenzi continued to shout, "Master, if you don't show me the favor, then I will go see you in person." Immediately afterwards, I heard Wuchenzi approaching me. I stood up and walked outside the house. Just as he walked to the door, he bumped into Wuchenzi. Wuchenzi was slightly startled when he saw my attire, then he raised his hands and said to me, "I am Wuchenzi, the elder of the Taoist section. What is your surname, and who is your master?" I lowered my voice and said, "Does a small Taoist elder deserve to know my name?" Wuchenzi's face froze, and his expression immediately turned gloomy. "Are you too arrogant? Or are you just a nobody?" I snorted coldly and said slowly, "I am Lu Ziwei, and I studied under Yun Ziazi. I wonder if I am the unknown person you call me. What do I belong to? Am I pretending to be myself?" When he heard the 3 words Yung Ziazi, Wuchenzi's eyes were full of shock. "You mean, you are a descendant of Yun Ziazi's lineage?" I didn't answer and just stood there quietly. Wuchenzi shook his head repeatedly and said, "Impossible. This is impossible. there will be no descendants of Yung Xiaozi, you must be lying to us. I said calmly, believe it or not, it's up to you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 729. After hearing these words, Wachenzi fell silent, lowering his head and not knowing what to think about. After a while, he raised his head and said, "Senior, are you here also for the Sun and Moon Pearl?" This sentence directly exposed Wachenzi's purpose of coming here. Unexpectedly, this gate is also thinking about the Sun and Moon Pearl. The Sun and Moon beads are what I must get. But the Ghost Suppression Tower is too dangerous, so it would be a good thing if he could join hands with Wachenzi to enter it. At least I can use them. Thinking of this, I nodded slightly and said, "It's just the Sun and Moon Pearl. I don't like it yet. What I want to do is to destroy the Ghost King inside." At this moment, I cannot say my purpose in entering the Ghost Suppression Tower. Once I reveal that my goal is Sun Moon Pearl, there will be a conflict between me and Wachenzi. He will be wary of me and even attack me secretly. A strange look flashed across Wachenzi's eyes, and he said to me, "Senior, the Ghost Suppression Tower is extremely dangerous. If Senior goes alone, it may be difficult to reach the 9th floor of the Ghost Suppression Tower. Why don't we join hands and enter it together?" I turned around, stood with my hands behind my back, and said, "This Ghost Suppressing Tower is extremely dangerous for you, but it is not worth mentioning to me. If I join forces with you, you will only drag me back. It is better for me to enter alone among them, I am quite happy." When Wachenzi heard this, his face changed slightly, and he quickly changed his words, "Senior, I made the mistake of saying something wrong. We are not good at learning. We may have a narrow escape from death if we enter the Ghost Suppression Tower. I hope Senior can help." I pretended to think about it and agreed after a while. Wachenzi looked happy and said, "Thank you very much, Senior, for your help." I nodded and went back to the house. Soon, night fell, and Wachenzi and his group arrived in front of the Ghost Suppression Tower. Looking at the ghostly Ghost Suppressing Tower in front of them, Wachenzi and his group looked a little ugly. Just when they were about to approach the Ghost Suppression Tower, golden light suddenly flashed from the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south. A huge magic circle enveloped the Ghost Suppression Tower, and no one could get closer. "Magic circle?" Wachenzi said with some surprise. "The array in front of me should have been arranged by Grandpa." Wachenzi tried to break the formation, but after struggling for a long time, he could not break it. However, I saw that Wachenzi seemed to have done it on purpose. What he was paying attention to, I couldn't be clearer about. Wachenzi turned around and said to me, "Senior, this magic circle is a bit difficult to deal with, and you still need to break it." I snorted in my heart, this Wachenzi is indeed cunning and cunning, with many tricks up his sleeve. Even if he couldn't break the magic circle with his strength, he couldn't make it so embarrassing. He just wanted to test my strength. I came to the magic circle and started to observe the magic circle. Since it was Grandpa who arranged the magic circle, there should be traces to follow. After observing for a while, I figured out how to break the formation. This formation is called the Sifang Fugui formation, and it is the formation of Longhu Mountain. My grandfather was also a Taoist priest at Longhu Mountain before, and I studied under Su Tianqian and also learned Taoism from Longhu Mountain. The 4 directions ghost subduing formation gathers the energy of the 4 directions to suppress evil spirits. To break this formation, you only need to use your own energy to disrupt the energy of the 4 directions, and then you can break it. But there is a prerequisite, that is, one's own chi is stronger than the person setting up the formation. I don't know Grandpa's strength, so I can only give it a try now. If it doesn't work, I will use the energy of crepe myrtle. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanba. Chapter 730. I stretched out my hand, gently placed my hand on the golden halo of the magic circle, and then carefully felt the flow of breath on the magic circle. I took a deep breath to release the energy in my body, and the next moment, something magical happened. The energy contained in the four directions Fugui array actually echoed my own energy without any rejection. My energy easily entered the four-dimensional ghost formation. Is it possible that the magic circle was arranged by my grandfather, and as my grandson, my aura matches his? After thinking about it, this is the only possibility. The four-sided ghost formation was easily broken by me. This scene stunned Wuchenzi and others behind. They never thought that I would break the ghost trap formation in all directions so easily. I walked towards the ghost suppressing tower, followed closely by Wuchenzi and others. The ghost suppression tower has 9 floors and is about 27 meters high. The door of the tower is made of wood and is covered with dense talismans. I stretched out my hand and wanted to tear off the talisman, but I thought that if I tore off the talisman, the evil ghost inside would run out in the chaos. If he ran out, it would be a waste rather than gain. I am afraid that the villages down the mountain would be attacked by the ghosts. Thinking of this, I took back my hand. Wuchenzi saw this and asked, "Senior, why did you stop?" I turned around and glanced at him lightly, and said, "When the tower door is opened, the ghosts inside will take advantage of the chaos and come out. I must set up the formation again to seal the entire ghost-suppressing tower." Wuchenzi was startled for a moment, and then he patted me and said, "Senior is indeed a chivalrous and courageous man who thinks of all the people in the world. I always hear flattery go in out of one ear and out the other." I stretched out my hands, kneaded the secrets with both hands, and muttered words. I plan to use the four directions subduing ghost formation again, and this time, I will use the energy of crepe myrtle. Wuchenzi and Daemon don't know that I have the aura of Ziwei. Therefore, I am not afraid of exposing my identity when I perform it here. I activated the crepe myrtle energy in my body, and lavender mist filled my whole body. Wuchenzi looked shocked and said in disbelief, Ziwei's energy." The 3 Taoist members who came with him were also shocked. There are indeed very few people in this world who have the fate of Ziwei. There are only a few emperors in history, and they can be said to be rare. I used the energy of crepe myrtle to set up the four-sided ghost-laying formation, but when I was setting up the formation, I moved a little bit. This was also done to prepare for when I left the ghost-suppressing tower. After setting up the four-sided ghost formation, I came to the pagoda door again, stretched out my hand, and without any hesitation tore off the talismans affixed to the pagoda door. When the last talisman was torn by me, the tower door quietly opened, and a cold air poured out from inside, blowing the robe on my body and making a sound. It was pitch dark inside the ghost suppression tower without any light. I walked into it, followed closely by Wuchenzi and others. When all of us entered the ghost suppressing tower, the tower door closed quietly, and then bunches of green will-o'-the-wisps lit up around me. The environment inside the tower was extremely gloomy, with all kinds of corpses piled up on the floor, which looked particularly shocking. Not far to my left was the stairs leading to the second floor. In addition, there are 7 huge buildings on the first floor of the ghost suppression tower. The buildings go straight to the bottom and should be the spine of the entire ghost suppression tower. Just when I was about to go to the second floor, I suddenly heard ghostly screams one after another. The ghost scream was extremely shrill, just like the cry of a dying man before his death.